Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dark Forest for the next episode in our Let's Play series. So we're now into July and our oats are ready to harvest. So that'll be our first job for today, to get the oats in. Our chickens are doing well. I've topped up their feed already this morning. I've got quite a few pallets of eggs now. So we'll need to keep check on those and make sure we sell them at the best price of the year, which I think last time I looked was around about November. So we should be in for a decent payday when we get to November. So we need to get the combine. I've already moved the auger over to the grain bin that the oats are in. I've also been topping up the horses' feed with oats as and when it's been depleted a little bit from the hay, just so we can make sure they've got some oats as well. Their current fitness is up to 25% now. I did fully ride and clean 2 of the horses myself, so I think that's saved a little bit of money from the horse helper. And I will try and ride them as and when I can. It just depends how much time I get. I do find that they don't take anywhere near as long to ride as they did in FS19. I think it's only around about a minute to get the 100% daily riding time. So yeah, we'll get the oats harvested. We'll bale up the straw. As the horses don't require straw, we'll either load up the straw and the straw we got last time and take it all to sell, or we'll hold on to it till it's at a better price. Maybe a bit later in the year we might get a better price for it. The other job I want to do today is get the grass cut for hay. And we're not in any desperate need of hay, but if we don't cut it now, or if we cut it now, it'll grow back again by the end of the year, and then potentially we could look at doing a cut for silage just for a bit of extra money. If we leave it too late, then we'll only get one cut out of it this year. So I think if we get it cut now, it gives it more time to grow back for a cut in the autumn as well, just so we can make more money from that grass field and just getting the hay from it for the sheep and the horses. One thing I also forgot to do, which I remember to do after we finished harvesting this, is I forgot the last, I think, 3 episodes now to make any repayments on the loan. I did make one payment on the month where we skipped through May. So when we skipped through from April to June, during May I made one payment, and then that was just before I skipped through the night to June to start recording. I then thought to myself, as soon as I start the video, I'll pay the missing payments of the loan and make the payment for June, and then completely forgot to do it. I think we owe about 3 months of back payments plus this month as well, and then 3 months of penalties. So we'll do that once we've got this harvested. If I remember, I'll probably forget. I'm useless at doing stuff like that. So what I really need to get is one of the customizable sign mods and put it outside the house, just say pay loan on it, just to remind me. Okay, so we're on to the last bit of oats to harvest. And that will be this field done. What we'll have to do is go through the crop rotation. I think we did oats last time, followed by barley was a good rotation. So possibly we'll use this field for barley next year, which we'll plant up in the autumn. I've already looked through the rotation for the field that we harvested the barley in, and we could put oats back in that, but it wouldn't be as good as a yield as we got in the previous year. And the best one I can see to follow oats, barley would be canola as the 1.1 or 1.15 rotation bonus. So I think possibly to put canola into the barley field for a cash crop next year. And then we may see about, I think it's going to be too late in the year to sow barley after the soybeans. I don't think that's an option to follow that crop. So we may need to look at potentially getting another field in before the end of the planting window for barley, just so we can make sure we do get some barley in the ground for next year. So we've got a little bit of space in this we can fit from the combine. Then we'll get this into the grain bin. I'm pretty sure the horses can't take any more at the moment. We could fit a tiny little bit in, about 12 litres. So it's not really worth putting anything in there at the moment. I can't remember if I left the bucket. No, I left the oats inside here, the grain bin, when I was doing the chickens. So we'll put all of it in the grain bin. What I'm considering doing is getting the smaller auger for unloading, just because that one I think is a lot easier to manoeuvre around for unloading than this one. And then we can keep this one just for loading the grain bins in the future. Oh, I always forget this. You need to connect the tractor up and disconnect that. Start the tractor, then connect that. Otherwise we can't pick up, and I'll be reversing backwards and forwards trying to get it to unload, and it will never pick up. But there we go. Start overloading the oats. So we've got 11,000 litres in there, plus what's left in the combine. There should be plenty of oats to keep the horses going till next year. Oats is one of those crops we don't need to worry about until spring. So we don't need to worry about planting those. So it's just the barley at the moment. And if we want to do canola for a cash crop in that field, that is something we'll need to look at doing next month, I think. The earliest we can plant canola. Yeah, August. And then we've got till October. So potentially we could follow the soybeans, because our soybeans should be ready in October. So that's the rotation I've currently got at the moment. So following canola would be corn, and then back to oats. So you get a 1.1 on the oats and the corn, but you get a 1.15 on the barley canola. So the other field we did sorghum. So set this to sorghum. And then we've done soybeans. So I don't know if barley would be a good rotation after that one. Get rid of that one and go to barley. So barley would be a 1.1, which wouldn't be too bad. So potentially if the soybeans are ready for October, we could harvest those and then drill that field straight with barley. Then we don't have to worry about rushing to clear an area of land to get another field in for barley then. So yeah, it's going to be one of those things. So I'm pretty sure the soybeans will be ready for October, so that should give us enough time to do that. But that is all the oats harvested. So next job is to get all the straw baled up. I will just check the straw prices as well. So currently it's only $34 per 1,000 litres, and it's got a high of 47, which is in December. So I think it might be worth, because we're not desperate for money at the moment, it might be worth just holding on and getting that a little bit more for the straw in the winter. So all the oats are in the silo, combine's been put away. So I say next job to get the straw baled up. And one thing I forgot to do again is reset the bale counter. So it's set to 0. Which makes it a little bit easier to know how many bales, although not a huge field. It's pretty easy to just count them up. So yeah, we'll keep hold of the straw until December, and then we'll sell it off then when it's worth a little bit more money. As at the moment, we don't need it for the horses, which is a bit of a shame. I was really hoping that shed worked the same as FS19, where it took straw and also produced a bit of manure. I did have a look into adding straw to it, and I got some of the functioning of straw to work. I just need to go in Giants Editor and set the relevant nodes for the trigger and things to fully get it to work, which I'm not 100% sure how to go about doing that. So I've been having a look, but whether I'll get it to work or not, I don't know. I did check to see if there was an update, and I have got the most recent updated version of that. So there isn't a new version that does have straw on it. So we'll just have to go without and hope it doesn't affect the horses. It doesn't show in the thing that horses require straw for bedding. So I'm presuming that shouldn't affect their health or their resale value in the long term. Okay, so last little bit of straw to bale up, and what we'll do, we'll head up to the store to buy a mower. As I mentioned earlier in the series, I want to get a proper mower for doing the hay rather than using the batwing mower. As I keep getting told by people, it's not the most suitable one for cutting hay. So we'll keep the batwing mower specifically for mulching the field and then clearing areas of bushes and overgrown areas. And then we can have a separate dedicated mower for doing hay. So that is the straw all done. So we'll get that last bale out, get that folded up, and we'll just check. So 9 straw bales. I think we got 10 last time. So let's give us 19 straw bales in total, which I think, I remember the size of the straw bales, 9,000 litres. Yeah, 9,000 litres. So what's that? 181,000 litres of straw in total. 11% off to getting a 10th bale out of there. Well, not quite. And yeah, we're going to use the baler again in a bit. So maybe we'll get that 10th straw bale when we bale the hay up. I'll get that dropped off. And we'll head up to the store and say buy the new mower. And then we can get the grass cut. Okay, we're down at the store. One thing I did forget to do as well is the tedder we've got had a update not long ago. So there's like a slightly larger version of the tedder we've got. I think possibly we'll upgrade that as well today. So just double check. We go tedders, which is under T. There we go. So the one we've got is the TD100. So that one is a 3.5 meter. But this one was added to the same pack. So both from Lazy Modding, and this was just added in an update. So this is a 5.8 meter, which is quite a big upgrade. Not quite double, but it's almost 6 meters. So that's a nice increase in the tedding width. So I'm thinking possibly it's only 6,000. So we'll bring down the 100 and sell that, and we'll get the TD190. The other thing as well, our little John Deere doesn't really hook up to this properly, so the PTO doesn't connect, which, although it still works, is not great. It doesn't look good. So potentially thinking of getting another tractor to use instead. I don't know if it'll be under small tractors. So the one we've got is the 710. The problem with this is the pin hitch is above the PTO, and that's where the tedder connects, and then the PTO obviously can't connect because it's underneath the pin hitch. We do have the farm all. That one doesn't look like it has a pin hitch, so I presume that may attach there. I'm not sure how that one would work, but I don't really want to get another tractor like that. I'd like to get something with a bit more horsepower. And we could just use the International we've got, rather than spend any more money. But I did install the Field Boss, so Series 3, and this one's only 125 horsepower for the smaller model. I think that one should work reasonably well for some more light duties. What, 26,300? I don't know if we want to spend that much just for a tractor that's going to probably do some windrowing, tedding. I don't think, yeah, 125 is not enough to pull the baler. Would be nice to get one of these, but I don't know whether to get one now. I mean, the maximum it can go up to is 170, which is similar to what we've got. So I think we'll stick with the International for now, rather than get something else, because we don't have a huge amount of money at the moment, but I would like to get one of those at some point. So we need to go for mowers. So the one I'm thinking of getting is, well, there's the New Holland disc wine, which is 4 meter. Well, this one by Wade Mitch, and the John Deere Moco. So 4.5 meters, 125 horsepower requirement. So I think I'm going to get one of these. So it's 18,500. And this will then be used for our haymaking and grass cutting. So we'll get this back to the farm and get the grass cut. So that'll be first cut on our actual dedicated grass field that we'll have done. Now we can try out our new mower. Okay, so back down to the farm, and we can get the grass cut. So if we get this swung out at the other side, and we'll get this turned on, that load down, and away we go. So our first grass cut, or first cut on this grass field. I'm just going to stick to majority of the field because I do eventually want to put some extra stuff in around this field edge, some fencing, maybe a few trees here and there. But that's another one of those jobs that'll have to wait for a little bit until we've got a little bit more money. Okay, last little bit of grass to do, and then we can get this tedded. We'll get it raked up and then baled. The mow seems to work okay. Not taking too long to do. And that'll be our first cut complete on this field. I said we'll get it tedded, raked up, then baled, and then we'll have to get some fertilizer on it so we can get the full yield next time. Get that folded off. Don't think that's going to fit in this shed, so I might have to find somewhere else to put this. What I'll do for now is we'll just drop it next to the disc harrow, which also needs to find somewhere to live. We'll get the tedder. I'm just going to use the International for the tedding, because obviously the John Deere doesn't, although as I said it does work, it doesn't quite hook up correctly. So we'll try this, and I'm probably going to look at changing the wheel options on this as well, because these jaws are a little bit tricky to use for some jobs. They are quite wide. So what we'll do is, before we take the tedder down, I'll just grab the toolbox. We'll get this prepared as well. I'm just going to customize it. I think I'm just going to leave it on the single. So we've got the 2-wheel row crop duals. I think I'm just going to change it back to the 2-wheel singles for now. And just make it a bit easier to get in and out the shed as well. While we're here as well, we can, repair that. No option to repaint it here. We'll take that down to the store to sell, because we'll get a little bit more money for it down there. And if we sell it direct here, we'll get this to the store, we'll sell this and buy the slightly wider one, and then get all the hay tedded up, grass tedded into hay. So it looks like we've got another full egg pallet there as well. So we'll need to keep an eye on that, and the lettuce as well, keep an eye on when that's ready, or at its highest price. Okay, so the old tedder's been sold, and I've now got the newer one. So it should help speed up our tedding process a little bit. Still not the widest of tedders, but it does the same job. And it's relatively cheap, only 6,000. I think if we're looking at anything bigger than this, going up to like 9-meter ones, you're looking at, I think there are at least 11, 12,000, which is not too bad, but I don't really want to be spending that much on a tedder for a field that's not exactly the largest of fields. So as we get more grassland and progress a bit more, then we'll look into upgrading, but I think for now the 6-meter or 5.8 will be more than adequate for our requirements. This should give us plenty of hay for the horses and the sheep until next year. So it'll see us through the rest of this year and winter as well, and spring until summer, and we can get another cut of hay. Okay, so last little bit of tedding to do, so then we just need to rake it up and get it baled. It looks like we've got a decent amount off this field. Looks like there's a nice amount of hay on here anyway. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how many bales we get off it. So what I'm possibly thinking of doing in the future, I'm going to keep this kind of farmyard area for the sheep and horses. So we will expand on the sheep. As I said before, I want to try and get more sheep in the future and get a second pasture and increase how many sheep we've got. And when we're producing a decent amount of wool, we could look to get a spinnery production going somewhere. I think that'll be a while away before we get to that yet. And I'd like to, I was thinking as well, because the horses aren't going to reproduce for 22 months, well 21 months for those now because they're 1 month age. So I'm thinking possibly getting another 4 horses so they can start working their way towards being old enough to reproduce as well. Just so we're making the most of having the horses. And then when we get close to them being 22 months old, we can get a second stable building or a open pasture to put the horses in, just to clear up the space then for the offspring. If we get the rakes, we'll use the John Deere for the rakes because it pulls them no problem. Yeah, so I'm thinking 4 horses, although it's great, I think the more we can get, the probably better. We'll make more of the doing the horses. So I'm possibly thinking get another 4 because it's only going to cost 2,000 for the extra 4. And then in say about 20 months time we can look to get a second pasture or paddock built, so we can then move 4 of them into that just to free up space for the new births. And so when we do then progress on to possibly getting other livestock, maybe pigs or cows in the future, and we'll do that in a completely separate area and build it up as a separate kind of farm that specifically like focuses on that animal type. I've made a right mess of the the rakes. And eventually what we'll do as well is probably a bit more central location. Also build up an arable yard, which will be more for keeping our combine and all our equipment, seed drills, cultivators and anything else related to arable farming, so we can separate things a little bit more. So this area would probably just keep the mowers and any grass equipment for doing hay, or the hay bales, and then the straw we can just get delivered here from the arable fields as and when. So potentially we'll then, the field that we harvested oats in earlier, we'll put that as a second grass field once we've got a few more arable fields in place and we don't need it for that, and that should give us plenty more hay then for the sheep and the horses. So I think that's going forward, that's the kind of plan I want to try and do now with this area. So concentrate on the horses and the sheep for now and building up this yard, but still doing a bit of arable on the side as well, as we still need to try and make money and progress the farm so we can upgrade the equipment, buy more equipment that we need and get more sources of income. So I'll get all this raked up and then it's just a case of getting it all baled up. So hay bales can go into the shed by the sheep. I may put a few in by the horses as well, so that they're ready to be used. Okay, so we've got the last little bit of hay to bale up. So far we've got a decent amount of hay bales actually off this field, considering it's not a massive field. I think we've done pretty well out of it. We might be able to get another couple out, maybe only just one. But so far we've got 11 plus the one on the baler, so 12 bales of hay, which isn't too bad at all. So yeah, we might just get one more out. Considering the grass wasn't completely fully fertilised, there were quite a lot of patches where the bushes were that hadn't been fertilised. So it wasn't a fully 100% yield bonus across the entire field. So maybe next time I'll squeeze an extra bale out. Oh no, we're just going to be just short of getting that extra one. Yeah, I don't think there's any more hay piles anywhere, so yeah, slightly, it was 8% short of another bale. Try and get that one to come off. There we go. So yeah, let's say it's like 12 bales in total. Yeah, 12 bales, almost 13, so it's not too bad at all. Baler's looking very worse for wear. So we'll get this cleaned off and repaired, and then we can get this put away, because we don't need it again just yet. Now, possibly may not need it again this year, and unless we do some hay silage bales. The trouble is with doing the silage with the bales is we would need a square bale wrapper, and they are quite expensive, because the only one I know to is the base game one, which is what, I think 52,000. Oh, there is the Anderson inline one actually as well. Keep forgetting about that one. That let's just have a quick look at the Anderson inline bale wrapper. That may be a possibility for autumn for us doing some silage for a bit of extra money. So bale wrappers. Yeah, so the one that does squares 34,900, so it's a bit cheaper than that one, which is 54,000 actually, not 52. That would be a lot cheaper, so almost 20,000 cheaper. So possibly we could look at getting one of those in the autumn and get another cut of grass off that for silage bales. That'll just give us a little bit of extra money from that grass field this year. So we'll get this put back in the shed, which will be a lot easier now I don't have the jaws on this tractor. Just stop it there. We'll grab the toolbox, which is this side. I'll just get that repaired, and then we can say put that away. Possibly to use again in a few months, but maybe the last time we use it this year. I could do with really organising this shed a bit better now. We've got the other side of this shed cleared. We can use the doors on both sides now. So maybe at some point I'll get it a little bit more reorganised so we can this side. I'll go to the side that doesn't have the door on. It's this one here, so we can access these doors as well. So if we get some of this equipment moved around and get better use out of this shed. As I said, next job we'll get the bales picked up and put in to the shed at the sheep pasture. I'll bring a few over for the horses as well, and we'll put them in this shed next to the straw bales. And I'll get the straw bales as well collected up, and I'll put them with the other ones just inside here, ready for winter when we'll sell those off. Okay, so I've got the last two straw bales to pick up off the fields and get put in that shed. And I think what we'll do before we do finish up, we'll go and get 4 more horses from the animal dealer to take us up to 8. So I've got that one bale there, and there's another one just over the other side. So we will need a little bit of money to get the other silo, which I may actually build today, and then just do a little bit more landscaping around the silos and access to the sheep pasture over there to extend the track a little bit to get to that. So I think next time we're going to be into August. We're going to need to get the canola sown, so that field prepped, mulched, fertilised, mulched if need be, sown, rolled, and then herbicide spread on it. So we'll get these put into this shelter here with the rest of them. And they can stay there then until winter. So it's showing December as the best time to sell. So we'll keep an eye on the price. If it gets close to that at some point before, then we may load them up and get them sold. But that's all the bales put up in the shed and out the way. And we also need to fertilise the grass field as well. We can do that with this sprayer. We'll put the skid steer back. We'll do that next actually, because otherwise I'll forget to do it. Get this moved out the way so we can get the John Deere out. The actual winch, I'm not sure if we're going to use that again now. So actually we may be able to take that to the store and sell. Because now we've got the tree harvester, we don't have to worry about pulling the trees out into the clearing to cut up. It was super handy when we used it. I don't think we're going to get much use out of it anymore. And I think there's herbicide in here, so we're going to have to unload this. Unfortunately we can't do it inside where I say there's not enough space. I'll have to drive it outside, unload it, and then reverse back in to get the liquid fertiliser. So yeah, we'll get the grass field sprayed with fertiliser so it's got the full fertilisation for the next cut. If I can actually get back in the shed. Then we'll go and get the next 4 horses. I think it'll be really worth making the most of that shed, as we can fit 8 in there. And then once we've cleared a few more trees, we can get the open pasture to then move some of those horses into. So frees up a little bit of space for the reproduction then. Later in the year. Well, so later in the year. It'll be a couple, well, just under 2 years time before that we get to that point. So yeah, let's get the grass fertilised. The grass is almost all fully fertilised. So I'm not sure how much it'll make a difference next cut in terms of the patches that we missed when we did cut it. I don't think it'll make a huge amount of difference, but we were only what 8% short of another bale, so maybe we may get that extra bale out next time. So that is the last pass, and we'll just double check that we are fully fertilised. That's switched off and folded up. Go in the menu, and it should be all now nice and dark blue. There we go. Nice even coverage on that. Soybeans are all fully fertilised as well, although we've got that one tiny little bit where I missed the lime on that field as well. Well, that's the grass fully fertilised, ready for the next cut, and more than likely we probably will do another one for silage in the autumn, as I think it'll be worthwhile doing. Not sure if how much we'll make from the silage bales will cover the cost of buying the wrapper, but potentially it might not be worth it for that 1 year. We may have to do a few harvests on it before we can cover the cost and start making some money from it. I think in the long run it might be worth doing. We'll have invested in the wrapper as well, so it's not as if we won't get anything back for that if we do come to sell it. Yeah, so next job is we need to get the pickup. Actually, I did mention, I told you I'd forget when we was doing the oats. I did say I'd finish the oats and then we'd pay the loan off. And I completely forgot again. Right, so one thing I did as well, I completely forgot when I set the map up, the loan amount was incorrect. I'd only covered the cost of buying the farmland. So this farmland is 116,401. So I set the loan to 120,000 to cover the cost of that. I then forgot to add the extra loan when I bought the equipment. So the loan was incorrect, so I've now rectified that. I would just have to put it down as a slight clerical error in the paperwork. So the loan is back up to 120,000. It should have been 170, I think. To cover the cost of the pickup, the small tractor and the little logging trailer that we started with. So I've rectified that, so we are at the correct amount for the loan now. So we've paid off around about 50,000 in total so far. We owe 3 payments previously, so I'll do the first payment for this month. So we owe another 3, so that'll be 15. So down to 100,000 left. And then I need to just deduct, which is going to leave us a bit short, but we should still just have enough money for the horses. So you'll have to ignore the minus 50, because that was me just resetting the loan. So take off another 7,500 for the 3 missed payments. So we've got 4,686 left. So it's probably a very good job we didn't buy the tractor earlier. We wouldn't have had enough money to pay the loan. So yeah, I'll grab the pickup truck and we'll get 4 more horses for the horse shed, pasture, stable, paddock, so you prefer to call it. And then that'll be us all done for today. Okay, so we're just on our way back to the farm with the last of the new horses. So we've got 8 in total now. So we are down to 2,686. You're definitely going to need to earn a little bit of money next time to pay the loan. We'll get these 2 in, and that'll be us all done for today. Tried to get one of each different type, but I'm pretty sure I may have a duplicate. And I did this last time as well. Sometimes it didn't quite pick up on the trigger and it just unloaded the horses, and I was just standing outside the pasture area. So we've got Ringo and Silver, who are joining Cricket and Inky, with the last 2 we bought. So we'll move those to the husbandry. And move to husbandry. So we've got 8 horses now. So when we get to around about 21 months, these will then move 4 of them into another stable or pasture paddock. So then that gives a little bit of space for them to reproduce in here. So you can see the first 4 are already up to 372, 385, 358 and 374. Slight variation between the different prices, but they're on their way to increasing their fitness. But it does take quite a long time for them to get to their maximum value. So that's 4 more horses. We've got the oats harvested today, baled up the straw, cut the grass for hay, and got all that baled up as well. And then fertilised the grass, so quite a bit done, but we'll leave it there. So hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, then please do consider subscribing to this channel. We've got more Farm Simulator 22 content coming up with the Let's Play series and also live streams, and occasionally some ETS2 videos as well. And again, if you do have any questions or comments, then please don't forget to leave them down below. I'll try my best to answer any as best as I can, as soon as I can. So again, a big thank you to everyone that's watched this video. Again, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you again. Goodbye.